So Sarth apparently got this interview, which is dope for him. This is a new logo. It looks cool. I like the black spikes. I still feel like I like the original logo more. It's exciting that they are doing this. I'm excited. Apparently, this is very likely the new official hardcore logo. This is the unveiling of it. I've never seen this. I feel like this is going to be a lot of nothing of other than like what we already expect. The only things that are super interesting are the solo self-found restrictions and dungeon lockouts, level 60 grouping, and everything. Oh, they're removing the debuff and buff limit. That's good. This is also like kind of testing any future classic era stuff if they do decide to do stuff like that. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of stuff that we already know, which is good. Very good. Hardcore PTR tomorrow? Maybe? I don't know. Apparently Crix knows something I don't. Either way, we're PTRing. I'm gonna hop in the Frontier Discord and we're gonna get their POV. There.
We're going to get into things like dungeon lockouts. Can we bubble hearth? Can we use Flask of Petrification? And will there be world buffs? Everything you can think of should be answered here today. Thank you guys for being here, and let's get right to it.
I'm Ana Resendes. I am lead software engineer for the World of Warcraft Classic team, and I'm super excited to talk today about Hardcore Classic.
The new logo.
I'm Tim Jones. I'm the senior technical designer.
Yeah, the logo's sick, right?
On the Warcraft Classic team, and I'm also excited to talk to you guys about hardcore.
I like that we should finally see the official logo.
Some guy.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time. That
Reveal.
yeah, that looks awesome. I'm so stoked. Thank you guys for joining me today. My name is Sarth. As anyone watching this probably knows, I am a enjoyer of WoW Classics.
He's an enjoyer.
I'm excited to get to talk to you guys. Tim, it's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
To talk to you about Ulduar. Yeah. So I'm really excited, and Anna, really nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
Thanks for being here today. Let's get into it. The hardcore community, as you guys know, has been really adamant about the whole solo self-found thing. It's been a community-driven thing, and I know Blizzard isn't usually of the mindset to add restrictions to the way people play the game. Is there anything that you guys are planning to implement for solo self-found? Maybe something like a Soul of Iron, like a buff on a personal character that doesn't end up doing as many like trading. I guess we haven't even asked if there's going to be trading, and you haven't officially said if there's going to be trading or auction house or anything like that.
Yeah, well, the main plan for hardcore is, like very simple. You have one life, but then if you die, however you die, that's done, right? There's not gonna be. We're gonna block the restrictions to resurrect, use Ankh, or any other like kind of like weird items that could get you back to life. All of that is going to be restricted. So that's basically the base. That's it.
Dark Moon card twisting
We're not
nether.
going to be restricting trading or mail or anything of those. We believe that, I mean, a big part of why it is very different in the era servers that currently have the version of the add-on is that not everyone there is like actually in the challenge, right? Like there's some people that have had that like started since the beginning of Classic 2019, and they still have their characters there, and they're just like coming back maybe just to raid or to do other activities, but they didn't participate in the hardcore challenge. And there's also the people that came from Season of Mastery that might also be in this server. So it kind of like creates kind of an unfair trading ecosystem with already a established gold and economy and everything. So we understand why a lot of the restrictions are there, right? That said, we're really looking forward to see how that happens in our servers, in the official servers, where everybody that is in those servers are participating in the challenge. So we don't want to go out with like any kind of extra restrictions. That said, if players choose to, go by the rules that the specific rules that they want to go into that are added, they're more than welcome to do that. But we're not gonna have any restrictions. And we currently don't have any plans of like what you're saying of like maybe we can have an extra note of like, hey, you did this in the extra mega hard mode.
Yeah,
you know?
Cable, but you got to think about like
But
Yeah.
I mean, we're listening, and
you'll
we
be able
are
to
open
mail
for
everything to a
feedback, and
bank
then we
alt,
can like see how
right?
the PTR
So
goes
the
and like have like more discussions, right?
the
That's good, like
I
the
don't know if you
mini
wanna add
game of
something, Tim.
bag space
Oh, I
stuff
think you
is
mentioned like, would we be incorporating like maybe a Soul of Iron style mechanic in hardcore? And the plan is to incorporate the Soul of Iron as it was in Season of Mastery into hardcore. It's largely just a cosmetic tracking of whether you have died or not, which everyone will know whether you've died on an official hardcore. So that point is kind of moot, but it does like have a cosmetic tracker of what end of which
Tim is so
end rate
dope.
to your boss that you've killed. And
Okay.
I
like
think
Anna
you're
said,
dope.
if the
No, you're dope.
I mean the add-on already does an incredible job of tracking these accomplishments that people have while leveling, fighting super hard quest content at relevant levels, or completing dungeons at relevant levels,
Exactly,
or other
Bubba.
types of challenges. If there is
You just
a desire
like
from the
if you go
community
mining,
for
you can
that to
just
be
dump all of
represented
your ore
in
and
sort
stuff
of
on
the same way that Soul of Iron does,
you
then,
know,
then
whatever.
we'll listen to that feedback and incorporate that into our designs if there's a desire for it.
Okay, awesome. I think that's really exciting, because hearing that you guys are open to the idea of if the community has a very strong feedback on something like that, I think is really exciting to see that you're like willing to
Yeah.
work on things. On that note, right now, including like restrictions, we talked about not really having too many with things like the trading. There is a current within the add-on and within the community built-in restriction for one dungeon, and only being able to do that dungeon.
I
once,
love
which
this
kind of
one
gives
dungeon
the
thing, man.
aspect of
I love
if an
it.
item dropped on that run on that character, you get really excited. It's the
All right, buckle up. See what we're
Does
getting.
Blizzard have any plans on implementing
Here we
any
fucking
sort
go.
of dungeon restrictions or lockout restrictions for the hardcore realms?
Yes. We're gonna have the
Oh.
restriction of
XX
you
done.
will only be able to do one dungeon per day.
Mhm.
It's a bit different.
One
than
per
the
day.
Rip
restrictions,
Bozo.
but it's gonna
What
basically
the
look
hell?
like a heroic where you can only do one.
Good,
dungeon
good
It's one of
per
each, right? It's not just one dungeon
Yeah,
period.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
And that
yeah, it's a
restriction is gonna
lockout.
be lifted by the time you get to a level 60, so you are able to, go.
I mean, all the Commit to rules, that you can again. read them if you want to skip ahead. There's an article.
This type of restriction sort of it mostly
Okay,
serves
60
You read the
is
end
good.
of the
we
book
really want to
as soon as you
Yeah.
buy it.
emphasize being out in the world.
I can't
and-
believe they put the
and
no
doing
bubble
questing
half in the game.
content and experiencing other players, like running into other players in the outdoor world. And we don't want like dungeon cleave or spell cleave to be the primary way that people feel obligated to level up in.
Mhm.
So we really feel like that the 24-hour lockout timer on dungeons will help facilitate that.
I agree. I like
And like
this.
we said before, if people want to impose extra restrictions on themselves, we're 100%.
The odds are
in support
after a day, you're
of-
not going to
of
go
the-
back
of
and
the modding,
do
community for
a bunch of
hardcore,
dungeons
doing that. But at this
you did
time, we
yesterday
don't have
anyways,
a plan
right, as you're
of
leveling,
making it so
so-
that you can only do one dungeon for the entirety of your level up process.
Yeah, I think that'll work out really well with people that play the game all the time.
Mhm.
Are gonna out level the dungeons no matter what, and then
Fair
people
enough.
that are gonna playing very casually will be able to go back and run it again, and that'll should be really enjoyable. So,
Exactly. And yeah, like Anna said, there's no such restriction for level 60 players. Level 60 players won't incur any lockout for dungeons.
It also
If-
means
if
there's
you're
no
a druid
dungeon
and you got a
grinding
farm
when you're
Helmer
leveling
gun,
up on launch. So
go for it, man.
so you have to do it. Does that mean inherently within the game systems will there be issues grouping with level 60 players? I know that's currently within the system of hardcore, but would that mean there's any sort of restrictions going on there?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, players who are not level 60 will not be able to get into the same dungeons as level 60 players. So
Oh,
it should
shit.
prevent
Whoa.
max level
That's
characters
that's a big
It's
problem.
actually
from boosting people through dungeons.
For what it matters, a
and there will
50
be the
mage
same
could solo
sort of
us him
XP
still.
penalty
If it
Oh,
was
yeah.
maxed out.
system that existed in
Yeah, exactly.
Season of
We just
Mastery
have
and Wrath
55
Classic,
mage
where
ults
there's
instead.
too big of a
No, it just
differential
means that we
between
need
the lowest
40
level
people
person
at
and the
level
highest level
60 for
person in a
MC.
group.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's true
exactly.
too.
sub 60,
Depends-
then XP
they didn't
will
say
be
raid, but
nerfed
we'll see.
to encourage players of a similar level
The
band
gearing's gonna be
to,
kind of scuffed.
It has to be raised because ZG's a
to
raid.
take on those
And you can
challenges.
boost in ZG.
Yeah, I think that was very well received. Getting rid of the boosting.
Yeah, and we
in
can't
Hyper,
carry
that'll be really
level
nice.
58s
Without
in Luber,
the
like LBRS and
restrictions
stuff.
then, and
Yeah.
without the boosting, we're gonna see everybody
Oh,
mostly
okay.
level in the open world. There is a hot topic around players right now around using things like world buffs in the open world and getting world buffs. And are there any changes or plans to change
Please let there be world
and
buffs,
how they
you
interact
stupid
with players
please,
at all within
please,
the hardcore realms?
Please.
There's no plans on changing how world buffs behave.
Okay, good.
Thank
good.
fuck.
Good.
In fact, you'll be able to get the Chrono Boon Displacer on hardcore realms.
Great.
You know, I think we've learned some lessons from Season of Mastery and
Fuck
not having
you!
world buffs, and yes, they make your character incredibly powerful, but
That's
at the
vanilla.
end of the day, they're one of the biggest social.
Yep.
They're an incredibly fun social event
Yep.
to gather
Mhm.
up for, especially in hardcore, and you feel that it is exciting to be able to get Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer and then be like, I can go do Barons. I can level up really fast now. And it's also going to be interesting on a fresh server where no one's at max level. No one's going to be dropping these buffs at the start, and it will be a special event.
We drop buffs at 3 in the morning, right?
Towards the beginning when these buffs start dropping. So I think we want to maintain sort of how unique
3 a.m. Oni buff going
the
out.
social gathering is for world buffs, even in
I hope
hardcore.
they fix the
We
layering
are,
thing.
though,
on
gonna
world
be
buffs.
removing the debuff limit and the buff limit.
Huge.
That's
Ooh.
huge.
Huge.
So you're gonna be able
Shadow Priest,
to
baby.
have as many
That's
buffs
right.
as your heart desires.
That's it felt
Warlocks,
really bad in
hunters.
Classic having classes that just
8
couldn't
Resto
use your
Druids.
abilities because it didn't do enough for other abilities. It would like take
How's that
over
going
your
to change you
abilities
with
and
will
stuff.
buffs now? How's that
that's
going to change
amazing.
no
I think
debuff
all,
limit
like,
with will buffs?
hunters
Like what?
and druids everywhere.
No
are gonna
buff
be really
limit.
happy.
Get every
Yeah.
world buff.
Warlocks
Yeah,
can't
do
see
you
dots
rend
in a
now?
raid?
No
Yeah,
buff
it's
and
happening.
debuff. Of course you
You
rend.
actually get to use your abilities.
Is
That's
it
wild.
is it worth? I don't even know if it's
Yeah.
worth the rage.
That'll be very well, hopefully very well
rend.
received.
I thought you
I
were talking about
with the
fucking.
social aspects, like the
Mohammed
world
Salah.
buffs, getting the
Mhm.
first
No,
ones is
the
going to be one of the most
warrior debuff.
exciting things
Mhm.
on the realm. But that the social
That'd be
aspect
funny,
of
William. He's never
hardcore
doing
also
that.
leads itself to griefing, and I know a lot of people are encouraged to play the game their own way, but Blizzard has been cracking down on griefing as much as
Yeah.
possible lately.
It's
So
not a
could you
warrior
give
buff.
us a little insight into how you plan to deal
It's
with
every other
griefing
class
or
buff.
kind of
It's
try to
specifically
prevent
not a
it
warrior
so that
buff.
someone that's been leveling for like the
can't.
last month doesn't just get deleted for something they couldn't avoid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna talk about like specifically what we're gonna be doing for PvP.
Okay.
Because PvP, you know, other players
Oh, wait,
sometimes
every
are
raid's out of
main
launch.
culprits that might that are
What?
Stop skipping
uh,
ahead.
Yeah.
this kind of
Don't
behavior,
leak,
right?
don't leak.
So, for example, we have been
Fuck's
looking at
sake.
different situations that have arisen, like for example,
What about-
people right-clicking on a flight master and then like, oh, there was a rogue there, surprise, now you're flagged. So the main thing is that we want to make that PvP interactions are 100% like something that the player wanted to engage on. So the first thing is like servers are gonna be PvE only, and the second part is that really the only way that we want you to get flagged for PvP is by you typing flag to PvP, right? Like we don't want any like
That's good.
right-clicking into stealth characters or any of those behaviors. We're really going around
Just
and
make a
like
week
looking
of
and
it, so
trying to
flag
fix
people.
all of those. So it's like something that the player actually has
That's
to go.
so
So
evil.
she's saying that you
Ask for
should
it.
ask for consent.
So I would encourage also for anyone that goes into the PTR, if you see some behavior that happened that is like, hey, I got flagged for PvP and I wasn't looking for it, let us know also, so we can also go in and add certain behaviors there. So that's one of the biggest ones that right now we're looking into. Kind of like PvP, it's because you want to, but we also want to encourage it for the people that are looking for that. So like I don't know if you have heard about like the Duel to the Dead, that it's coming up. that it's gonna be a very also very like conscious, a special kind of duel. You still can duel if you want like regular duels, but if you want to do one of these, it's gonna be with a very explicit I'm here because I want to kill you, you know. And like something really cool is like if you get to kill to defeat an opponent, you're gonna start getting a cosmetic buff, basically saying like how many people you have
Cool.
killed by like maybe
We
an ear icon, maybe giving a reference to other games, you know. uh so it's something that it's coming up, but we want it to be something that is like very conscious. Same with battlegrounds, you know, queuing for random battlegrounds is not going to be allowed, or it's going to be disabled. But if you still want to play against other players in Warzone and kind of have like a bloodbath in Warzone, go ahead, go do it. But you're going to have to do it via a war game, so you're going to have to find the group and
That's cool
duel
too.
them basically and get into the map.
Mhm.
We have also had other areas where we have like trying to reduce the griefing. Like Tim can talk to you a little bit about, for example, kiting mobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So like we all have seen the video of Taramis being kited from blasted lands to unsuspecting adventurers in Elwood. And while that might be funny to watch as an observer, it's miserable as the actual person getting killed. So creatures will sort of respect zone boundaries, and we're building a system to prevent creatures from being able to be kited outside of blasted lands if that's
Is that
the
shit?
creature's
That might be
zone
shit.
of
Every
spawning.
change is
So
every
Calm
change
down.
shaded is shit.
that will be
That could be
something that
really
we're doing.
shit.
I know Anna briefly touched on
What's bad about that?
we're looking
It
at
could depend how
quests
if it's
one
same
by
zone.
one to see
Yeah,
like
yeah.
was this a quest
It
that
depends.
flagged people for PvP
Stuff like
unintentionally?
Forsaken Courier.
We're preventing that from being able to happen. Even quests where like escort quests in particular have been sort of targets for interference. And
Yes.
we're changing
Exactly,
the
Bubba Dump.
faction templates on those creatures that
Exactly.
are the escortee, so that they can't be pulled out of combat to screw with that person's experience doing that quest. Might
What?
ruin the fun for someone out there, but
I think
I
escorts
we're
won't be
preserving
hostile for the opposite
the
faction.
leveling experience. It's better for that
That'd be
person
good.
actually trying to do the quest in that circumstance. So
Yeah, you mentioned there's some quests. You mentioned quests that have been notorious to get
Mhm.
griefed, like in Westfall, the Defiance Messenger's already been fixed. But there are some quests where there's things that you can't really do, like inside of Blackrock Mountain, the quest for,
Sarth's
like,
white
getting
balance
a
looks
key,
off.
or like potentially the Vidir Elixir quest for the Link quest, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans on adjusting those so they're possible to get done by players doing or playing on this realm, really?
100%. Those quests are already fixed so that they're doable on hardcore without dying. Specifically,
That's nice.
He's testing
the
that
Vidir
then. He's
Elixir
doing
quest
Vidir,
for the Lincoln Ungoro.
I mean, that's a great quest to do.
Line, instead of killing you when you drink it in the Gadget's End graveyard, it'll take you to like 1% HP and give you a near death experience, but you won't be dead. And so for the next 5 to 10
cheap.
minutes, you'll be able
I'm
to
not
go
testing that shit.
north
Someone else
into
can do
the
that
hills,
first.
just probably
I'm doing it.
Let's
It
try
gives
on
you a
PTR.
previous item, right?
so you don't get killed
Trick
by
its
Yeah.
tease.
Scorpid or something. But under that aura, with that aura being
Yeah,
active,
caster
you'll be able
offense is
to
really good.
talk with the quest giver there. And same with the Shadowforge key quest line for Blackrock Depths. You'll be able to gaze into the spectral fire in the corner of that room, and when you
That's
get
cool.
that aura, you'll be able to interact with the quest giver
Oh, the
without
BRD
being
key.
dead.
That's good.
So
Yes.
Imagine
more
people
rogues.
drop campfires on
looking
top of
at
those quest givers.
all the
To take you for one.
flag quests that have been mentioned.
No,
by
campfires
the
don't
hardcore
don't
community and
do damage
doing our
anymore.
best to address every one
Duh.
of those. So
It
Like
used
the
to.
Origins
should
one.
be live on the
Long time ago.
PTR.
That was gonna cause so
Imagine
much
you're not
frustration.
100% XP and it does just kill
There
you.
was there's
not
two things that you
100%.
mentioned that I don't want to gloss over too much on, but I wanted to. So you mentioned the Mock Raw potential system where you could also have like a cosmetic on your character showcasing your wins. I know the community has expressed like any interest in potentially looting the person you've defeated or anything like that, but seeing any sort of cosmetic I think is amazing. So is
Yeah, do you
The
get do
Makra
you
is
get all
a
their
very
gear?
standard system
That'd
where
be cool.
everyone has to opt into it,
Mhm.
but you will still be able to normally duel, and you will get this cosmetic for as many wins as you get, right?
Yeah, only on the duel to the deaths, like if you do a regular duel,
But can
we're
you
not
farm
gonna be
like
counting
level
those are not
ones?
real
Like
ones.
go out level ones.
But these
Yeah.
ones, yes, it's kind of like
Bob's
a
gonna walk
hint
around with
of
a
like,
pile
hey,
of
look, I'm
ears.
a very, very like really good opponent. So um that said, though, there's gonna be certain restrictions of like levels, because of
Okay.
course we
You're
believe
on.
that like in order for you to get a token,
Get
it
wreck
should be
scrub.
like a fair match, right? And not like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna
So you
be
just do it as a
dueling
level
people
one.
that are
And
level
you
Yeah.
just
one,
farm it
and
as
of course
level
these
one
kind
and
of
you level your
restrictions.
cats
So
up.
we are adding some restrictions level wise, so it's a fair opponent that you're competing against. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm like super excited. Like I'm just excited to like when people get to like do the first tournament with Duel with the Dead, I'm gonna be like watching there with like eating popcorn and see like how it goes. really
That's
excited.
those tournaments. There's a lot of plans in the works for doing tournaments
Nice.
for those. And you mentioned the PTR, and now everyone should know about PTR. Are there gonna be level
PTR tomorrow?
restrictions on PTR?
Did they say PTR tomorrow?
held for tournaments at all, or is everything
Yeah.
gonna
Yes,
be
they did.
available? And what are you guys looking
No
out
time
for anyone
tomorrow.
that's playing the PTR to report to you to help enhance the experience of the live realms?
And overall, like the main things that we are looking forwards for
Easy.
players are we're gonna be especially on the
30 is
looks
level
of
cap.
us. If there's
Level
any other
30?
new kind of
Yes,
griefing
it's 30.
mechanics that you are
Yep.
finding, like we already talked
Oh, you
about
can
this
do war
quest, but if
games.
there's like a quest that we missed, or if there's also a different like way of like you got flagged for PvP.
30's
so
chill.
those kind of behaviors or like kind of like unfair deaths, because we are also adding certain mechanics to minimize what we deem as like unfair deaths.
Mhm.
Like for example, disconnecting mid-flight and then like you just die, like fall to your death.
This
right?
is
So
gonna
we're
kill
adding some
Burning
mechanics
Strat.
there to
No!
kind of like
You're
minimize
dead,
those
dude.
Oh
things.
no,
So
for
if
fuck's
there's
sake.
certain behaviors like that, please
Wait,
let
what?
us know.
They-
Taxi skipping,
they
then
announced
nothing
Said
taxi
there's no
skipping.
plans.
Yeah, maybe no taxi
For
skipping.
example, if the whole servers go down and there's like certain situation like that, we also want players and everybody that wants to join this
Yeah, Bubba,
challenge
they said that
to also kind of
Bobs can't be
recognize
leashed
that this
outside of the
is
zone that they
a
spawn
risk
in.
they're willing to take, right? Like
Mhm.
getting into hardcore comes with risks. You might die to another player, you might die to the environment, but there's also some things that might be out of our control that also are out of our like Blizzard control that we're not gonna be able to bring back. So really, just keep an extra eye on that and like, but let us know if it's something that like we can potentially add. Let us know. Yeah.
And since you mentioned that and unfair deaths, and it seems like you're doing everything you can to minimize that, does that mean that there is going to be zero appeal system within the game? If anyone dies, they're just like, you've lost it. We're not rolling.
You can't
back
do an
anything?
appeal system. You can't.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
You can't
That's
do an appeal
correct.
system.
I mean, we're trying to be as proactive as possible to create systems like preventing creatures from being kited throughout zones. We mentioned that earlier, and
Mhm.
the flight disconnect. Like if you ever dismounted from a taxi, the game will check whether or not you're in a situation where you would fall to your death. And
Wow, they even used the
if
T
you
word.
would, then
That's
it
crazy.
will attempt to teleport you to the flight master that you started the flight path on.
No,
and if it can't
for
do that, then it'll
fuck's
try
sake.
to teleport you to the nearest graveyard.
Like a
So
roll
No, but
we're
I
they don't know exactly
literally
how
ha-
that's going to work
you're
though.
correct. There's going to be no appeals process, but we're going to
That
try
sounds
to
so
prevent those
fucked though.
unfortunate, uncontrollable deaths proactively.
That's
With
just
the unfortunate
good.
deaths kind of being
It's not.
mitigated. I know a lot of the community has been
It's
seeing
really not.
some
Taxi
raids
skipping
happening
pieces of
lately
shit.
where
It
I don't
is-
understand.
It is a
players
good
have been
thing.
using
I
petrification
don't understand
flasks
why they would
or
change
bubble
anything.
hearth, and there's
Just make it hard.
some restrictions on the
Remove
current
better. That's all I need.
hardcore like community, but is there going to be any restrictions for anything like that on the actual hardcore realm?
Yes.
Do you want to cover this, Anna? Or
Yeah, I can go on there. You can talk about the Petrific.
Sure.
Petri flasks.
Sorry, my tongue. Anyways, but there's gonna be certain class restrictions. So, for example, Ankh, of course, it's out of the question.
Mhm.
But also Bubble
Soulstone.
Heart, as known to the community, it's also gonna be disabled. Like we're not gonna allow players
Bubble Hearth
to
disabled.
kind of like use their mechanics in that kind of way. So
What about Light
yeah,
Balloon
those are
disabled?
gonna be out of the question. We have done a very like big conversation about the petrification flask, and like Tim can give you more about like the logic that we have
Here it
behind
is.
it too.
Yeah, sure.
This is it.
I think, you know, this is a brand new environment for players. The economy is going to be fresh, and on Era Realms, you have people who've been playing since 2019. You have people who were playing in Season of Mastery who have transferred, and there's less regulation, I think, in the hardcore community of resources being traded between each other. So that might be one reason why petrification flasks are so plentiful
It's
at
so
the
delusional.
highest level right now. And we're going to be
Thinking
actively
people
monitoring
won't have a petty on them when they raid, like.
this, and obviously listening to player feedback. But I think having very powerful tools, especially at the highest level when you've put so much time into your character,
No.
if you've saved up the resources
No.
and
It's
crafted
50
a
Resources.
gold, bro.
that is relatively rare. I mean, Black Lotus will still be
No.
This
Um,
hurts.
Fucking swipe, man.
then it's okay for
Did you really
you to
just say
have
that?
those types of tools. That's sort of the flavor of Classic.
Hold on.
To have these sort of not oddball, but like they're very unique tools and consumables that you have. So yeah, to start off, there's going to be no changes to petrification flask or the leave
No!
party teleport out of dungeon mechanic, but we'll monitor that
That's so
situation.
shit.
We're just interested to see what the use case of petrification flask will be in a server.
What do you
with a
mean the
brand new,
use case,
untainted
man?
economy.
Absolutely.
People will
Thank
just
you very
wait
much.
to
And I've just
zone
got
in until they have
2
one.
questions left for you guys because I know
So
your time is really
delusional.
Go for
valuable.
it.
So thank you. There is currently within the add-on itself, one of the favorite things most people like is obviously the announcement
That's
system and
fucked.
seeing how people die or like their last words. Do you have any plans on implementing that, or would you encourage people?
Bro, people are just gonna buy gold and send Petries to their level 5s.
We are
Yeah.
implementing
It's
And
required by
never
law.
die.
Petries are
for
fine.
sure.
Requires
Oh,
extra
okay. That's good at least.
So guild chat, whenever someone dies, if they're in your guild, you're gonna be notified about it, and
Mhm.
then whenever someone gets to level 60, it's gonna be announced on the server. So
That's awesome.
there's gonna be some official notifications that are going around.
Oh, that's
Definitely, we
cool.
had to have
I'm
like a
gonna get
conversation of
world
like,
first
okay,
priest
do we
notification,
really want to
boys.
be like talking to
Good luck.
everyone about like, hey, this person died in the full
Sorry, I'm
server
switching
when
priest. You're screwed.
level 2 died. Anna died again at level 3, and then it's like, okay, sorry. So definitely there's gonna be like for that is gonna be more around the
dude.
guild, and then for like getting to level 60 is like a super big feature that we want everybody to know about, right?
That
And
bums
celebrate
me
it.
out.
With that, because that leads perfectly, because that's a really exciting thing that you guys are adding. Is there anything else flavorful or exciting either of you two have specifically worked on, or either of you two are specifically excited about for the hardcore realms that you think people should like?
I mean,
keep
Phoenix,
their
that's
eyes
not
on?
his
I know,
job
I'm
in this
just-
video.
Yeah,
Go
He
ahead.
can have an
because
opinion
for me,
after
my
this
favorite
video,
is
but
really the
in this
build
video,
to the
he's
death and all
getting
like those
interview
like
Blizzard,
little
so you
things,
don't
and we
shit on
already
them
talked about it. So I'm just
in
like,
the
I'm just so
interview.
excited about
Do you
it.
think
But
this
yeah,
person
I
is
don't know.
gonna do it to the
Overall,
death?
I'm just really excited about
Yeah.
hardcore and like just see
Level 3.
how like coming the official servers
mean,
and even in PTR, like
yeah.
just to go see that. Like, oh, the other thing too is that if you die, you
I don't know, I
become a
think
ghost and you can
so
still
much of
go
this is
back to the
just
world as a
bad.
ghost. So that's the second thing I know that I think about it. That's
Bum
another thing
job.
I'm excited about is just see like, will people actually stay as ghosts and maybe create ghost community? Maybe there'll be like a guild
Ghost
that is full
community.
of ghosts or something and just
Ghost
roam
guild.
I
around.
like
I
that you
don't
can be
know.
a ghost.
Maybe some RPs
For
with like
many
the
Can
little
you like
dots of the night
lag
just
bomb
following
somebody
each other.
though?
I don't
Like,
know what's gonna happen. I mean,
are
maybe
the
people will
ghosts
just be
on
like,
the
okay, I'm gonna go
server
transfer to the era
able
servers and
to
continue my journey there. if
impact the
that's what they want.
performance of a live player? Could like
But like really
500
excited to
people
see if
go
there's
and
gonna
hang
be
out
any
next to
ghost communities,
Asmongold and
maybe?
just fuck his
I don't know.
computer?
I think I'm like
Maybe.
for me, you know, a lot of what I've worked on for hardcore is revolved around just improving the quality of life of quest content. making
Psychedelic.
sure
No one
people
said
don't get
perfect, but
flagged,
but Petri Flask is a
unintentionally. And so
clear
just seeing people have
vocal
a good
community
time
issue.
that is uninterrupted.
I think that might
and
only
not
impact the
being,
server stability, but
sort of negatively impacted by people wanting to
Your
ruin their
comment-
experience. I think that'll be
It's
the
a- it's a-
greatest
it's a
success,
very-
for me to see.
it's a-
I'm,
it's like
I'm
a
also
top
just excited to play.
2
Like
issue.
the community in hardcore is
And they're
is so
addressing issues a
supportive
lot
and
less
fun to be around, even
important.
if failure is imminent. it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Tim. Thank you guys so much for
They said
taking
they're
the
not
time
touching
out of your day
Petri.
to share all
They're
this
leaving it
information.
exactly
and
as
for
it is.
Putting like it's so exciting to see when
What
like
did they
the
say
people
about
working on the
taxi
game
skips?
love to play it and are excited.
They said
to,
it was a
get to
very brief
experience
mention
what they've been
that they
working
said
on.
they
So
would
thank you guys so much for
be
taking the
changing
time
that
today.
mechanic so you get
Thank you,
ported
Sarge.
back.
It's been a
If you get
pleasure.
dropped from a flight path, you
Yeah.
get ported to your
Nice meeting you.
Really nice
first
to meet
flight
you.
master.
Original.
BlizzCon
I
Open.
think it's going to
Heck
be
yeah.
DC specific, and I think there's going to be ways around it. But going to test
Okay.
them first before.
I mean, it's a very specific way to trigger it, so I
And I
think it's a very
wouldn't-
specific way to fix it.
The reason they fixed
no.
probably because of unintentional triggering, like people
Yeah.
dropping and not wanting to.
So
not the
yeah,
people
by the
that
way,
want
it wasn't in the video, but all content's out on launch for sure.
Yeah, there's a post
That's so toxic.
up. It's
wait,
not
so
toxic,
Cat,
it's
you guys,
cool.
Cat did have a different interview.
So when are we going into next? Like when like what's our timelines for the server?
Well, that's something we're gonna look into. I mean, we have a general idea, but Nax is probably filler content.
You can do a
little
new
bit.
bit like Green Gas.
You can do
Yeah,
trash farming,
there's
right?
a couple things you can do, but
so much
but-
prog.
think about this though. The thing is, trash farming. I think there's much more valuable use of time.
What did you guys like in that? Like of the changes?
Oops.
The change.
Nothing.
The
Oh my
only
God.
dungeon
lockout.
Buff and debuff when
Yeah,
it's
buff
good.
and
I mean,
debuff
it
comes
should be
good,
gone.
right?
I don't think that's good. I think it's iconic that they have that. I think it's a part of the game by now.
No, it
Like,
is not good that when you bring a Rested Druid to the raid, they are only allowed to press one of their buttons.
I mean, we'll see where
It
Shadow
does
Priests
buff
and Warlocks
Vesper.
are now. Like
You-
where
Yeah, man,
we're not
you-
bringing a Shadow Priest. We're still not
like you
bringing
have-
Shadow Priest.
Like, do you know how much you can buff a tank if you have no?
Yeah, I mean,
If you
I
have no buff
definitely
cap?
do.
Like you can become almost invincible. Probably.
The
Like,
I
amount
definitely
of
do
uses
think it's a
soon.
little bit
Yeah.
weird because like this is the first time they've done no buff cap with world buffs. With Psalm, we had no buff cap,
there are so
and it
many
was just a
buffs you
bunch
can
of
bring
buffs,
in.
right? But now it's going to
Mhm.
be buff cap with every content out, which means we're going to have ZG, DMF, Oni, tribute.
Silithus as well. Like it's gonna be insane the amount of buffs we can get.
I
Can
do
you
Yeah,
wish
get
there
so,
was.
so tanks
no
are going to
world
have
buffs.
like
We
tier
get the
3
armor
level
buff from
gear
AV
in
and
green
shit.
gear. Yeah.
No, you can't
Wait,
go
Hoppy,
AV.
wasn't Psalm was no debuff limit?
Oh,
They
yeah.
didn't mess with the buff cap.
I don't know
Some
what
was
they're gonna do
well,
with that.
yeah, you're right actually.
So
Some
the
was no
no
debuff,
buff-
but
No
because
buff
we didn't
cap
have-
is huge.
yeah, but because we didn't have world buffs, we didn't have to hit buff cap.
Right. Oh, right. Exactly. But now that
Yeah.
there's no buff cap, that's massive. That's
it's
a
gonna be
huge change.
fucking
That
disgusting.
means-
It's gonna be a lot of little things, like I don't know, the Ungoro crystal stuff. Like there's just so many like tiny buffs.
A lot of
and
stuff doesn't
debuffs
stack,
You
but
can,
Yeah.
like every resist juju or whatever, you have like juju flurry and
yeah.
dodge or whatever.
But yeah, Shadow Priest is still
My
terrible.
main
Their whole-
complaint-
Their whole toolkit doesn't crit. That's the main problem.
SPs is
I-
so shit. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was gonna.
I played on Psalm, and my main complaint with Psalm is that they made everything harder, and then they removed the buff cap. But at the same time, it was way more grindier because you had to go out of your way to get those things. Like as a hunter, I had to farm spell damage, flask, spell damage consumes, and mana pots and dark runes and all that stuff.
So
Now you've got to do
Things that
that.
I
You're saying
never worried about back in
yeah,
classic.
but that's just putting you into everybody else's shoes. Like a hunter just doesn't have any consumes if you don't have that. You have Scorpog, you have Mongoose, and you're done.
Yeah, like imagine being a warrior, man.
I don't think it's that bad.
So fucking.
Everybody
yeah,
else
that's the
already
tax
does
I
that.
paid for doing shit damage.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good changes. I don't think that the taxi skip is bad. I think that's okay. I think the PvP changes are good.
The dungeon
Depending
changes are
on-
like
The
what I
dungeon
really
changes
what
delusional.
what I really dislike about it is like you can't even do a dungeon twice. Like imagine you build stockades and you can't even get the bandanas on everyone. Like you can't even complete the quests.
Yeah, I
And
definitely
it's,
think
and it's gonna be
that's
like that for many of
Well,
them.
we could be vocal
stars
about
like
that.
that.
Like,
There's two problems. One is in BFD. BFD has the same problem where you cannot complete the quest in one
the
run.
brainstem, yeah.
Yeah, and stockades as well. I've
Wait,
had
how do
that
you
problem before.
Like right now,
how do
you'll,
you do
like,
something like
roll
Nomer?
top 3. And
do you
Doesn't
mean
Nomer
Nomer?
isn't Nomer like a you go in and then you come out and then you go in again?
But it's the same
No,
you
idea.
get a lockout.
Oh, that's just outside.
You get-
You don't need to
so-
do Nomer twice.
Yeah, you can
For
do
some
number
reason, I
one.
thought there was a quest that did that, but maybe it's just
Here's
Do
the
it all
thing:
at the
you
start
do
and then you go inside.
Maybe
yeah,
with the man.
It's the same as that same, isn't it? Because like the whole 3 dungeons share the same ID.
Nomer is fine because most of the things actually respawn like the quest mobs, like those things you have
I
to
mean,
loot the machines.
we can say
I'm surprised
like
they changed.
those quests. We can
Bubble.
be like, hey, can you up the drop rate of the bandana? Can you up the drop rate of the brainstem? Just so that, like that's something that I'm sure they'll do.
I think that's reasonable if there's a, but I also think that the one dungeon per 24 hours is a little restrictive for players.
I didn't think it'd be that bad. I thought it'd be like 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you
I
guys
think- I
really
think a
want a
couple
dungeon grind
hours-
though? Like I
It's
didn't.
not dungeon
But
grinding.
you can't
no,
dungeon grind
look,
with
look,
5.
That's what I'm saying. If it's a 5-hour or 6-hour lockout, it completes the same thing. It's just less restrictive. If I log in on Saturday morning and I do a stockades, I can't log off right there and then come back until fucking Sunday
mean,
morning to do another one.
I mean, the beauty of leveling in
It's just
classic
weird.
is the mastery of both quests and dungeons and the combination of the two. That's how you level the fast.
It's unnecessarily restrictive for players.
Absolutely.
Like it doesn't have to be 24 hours to achieve a non-dungeon grinding rule.
I think if they just change the dungeon XP from 2.5x to 2x, like every elite quest, like every private server did that actually, and nobody grinded dungeons on private servers. And you buff the HP of the mobs by like 10-15%. Nobody's gonna be wasting their time dungeon grinding for fast leveling unless
like-
if they're behind the pack. So
You're not
either
wrong,
way.
but private servers just also were wrong. Like even on 2x, you would still SM.
I
A
feel
lot
like
of private servers had weird XP too on a quest. so
changing
it's not leveling.
values is it's like a whole fucking Pandora's box of shit. I don't know.
I just don't understand why you can't get rewarded for. I would say it's more likely that you die in a dungeon than that you die in the open world, and at least in my opinion.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's not true.
Because you're like in a 5-man group. Like, I mean,
but-
open
yeah,
world,
but-
if you're solo leveling.
Yeah, if you solo, but if you're 5-man in the open world, how are you gonna die?
Oh, yeah, you're not. That's true.
The PvP changes are good. I'm sure people will still figure out how to grief, but
I
Yeah, they
didn't
didn't,
like
they didn't address vanish aggro and shit like that. They haven't addressed any of that, and that's gonna be scuffed as fuck.
I mean, no grouping with like level 58s and level 60s together is like a really big change for
Yeah.
for a
that-
guild
that is
that's
actually
trying to
really
do
impactful.
for a guild that's trying to do what we're trying to do. That is like
That's a
the
good point.
biggest thing they could have announced. That's like crazy.
What-
like you
what would
can't
be the
you can't bring
minimum-
you can't bring a level 58 healer to MC.
like
that's crazy.
55. 55 might be a good number to group with.
I definitely think that it's kind of weird that the number is 60. I mean, I understand why they waited until 60 to lift the restriction, but like in actual classic, you start doing your endgame stuff pre-60. It's not like you're just like a questing adventurer all the way up to level 60 usually on like a standard server experience. You're like starting your Oni attunement, and that requires doing 2
Yeah.
BRDs.
The other
Well, like,
argument though is
full
this isn't a
weakness
regular
is
realm. This is a
weird.
hardcore realm.
Love you, Winky.
Yeah, but like, what's the difference between putting that
Enjoy
to
your
like
vacation.
58?
I hope you're gonna
versus
be here
60?
tomorrow.
It
There's
just
not,
allows
but I think
players to.
I think this is coming from the viewpoint of specifically people trying to do like a very early MC.
Mm.
This
I
isn't a thing unless we are doing exactly what we're doing.
Well, then just do
Yeah.
you can't zone into raids unless you're 60. Like
That's what they're doing, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
And we're gonna have to be.
Which
really
is
careful.
fine. We just have to adjust. We just have to adjust to it. It's probably a good change. It just impacts us.
Like people are gonna have to be doing.
No,
like,
it's
so
not
let's say
vigorous.
it's day
Yes,
3.
it was
It's
deleted.
you
I
know
don't think so.
almost reset. You're just gonna have to throw dungeons way earlier than you probably would just to get the extra lockout of loot. Week 1, right?
So what happens
Oh
if
shit,
someone
Winky.
dings
Well,
60
enjoy.
in the dungeon?
That's interesting.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
We could ask. I feel like
Yeah.
they should change it to like 55. Like 55.
I think so
can
too.
group
I
with
don't think it
60s.
impacts. I don't think it like once you hit a certain point, you are basically doing endgame content.
Yeah.
And like when you're doing Elbers, there were so many times where like I would bring in like non-level 60s to an Elbers group. It's just a weird distinction to make that you must be 60 to do like group
Especially on a
content.
launch environment, because you're not gonna have people
Yeah.
like faster than others. Like
But-
you,
And like
you're gonna be
imagine
limiting
at
yourself.
55, you're not getting boosted anymore. So it's like, who
Yeah,
cares?
exactly.
I mean, I
Imagine
mentioned
you,
it
like,
earlier
made-
though, but like a 50
it's-
page could still sell boosts if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
But
that's
only
still
once a
under
day.
the restriction. So it doesn't matter like
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's one dungeon.
But
lockout, so
at
you
some
get that
point-
boost.
At some point, he's gonna level to 60 if he's selling boosts.
I mean, you can
There's
boost
also
boost
yeah,
SM.
but you
can't
can only
Like,
you're
it's all
gonna
gray.
you're gonna be selling boosts like it's only one dungeon, so you can sell.
you're gonna do one set of SM, get them 3 bars of XP, and they log off.
Oh, that's
You
true.
can still
yeah.
sell a ZG rep.
It's
ZG
still
Rep
But
is
they
also,
say that they're
um,
gonna implement the Season of Mastery XP changes,
Yeah, I just
and
wanted to say.
yeah, the XP plummets if you have a level 60 in your group, like someone 12 levels above or something like that.
I'm sad that they're banning any type of griefing. So like even if you try to teleport just summon someone to their death, they can report you and you can get it's now against TOS and you can get banned.
You're sad about that?
How do you guys
'cause that
feel?
was my plan.
What's up, Link?
No,
How do you
that's
guys
just
feel
like,
about like all content being out?
it's
I like
fucked. Like, it's.
I think it's
well,
really exciting.
It
Personally.
is, but it just depends on what our goals are. Because our goals were first MC, week 1 MC, Oni, right?
I think
So
our goals can
now-
still be week 1 MC and Oni because that's technically the first milestone, I would say.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, but we also now need to shift expectations to okay, so it's week 2. Oh no, now we're fucking grinding ZG rep, and then we're doing ZG, and then
Right,
we're going
but
to BWL like week
spamming
3.
UD
Like,
strat for
yeah,
rep,
so
and
with that being said, like I don't think I'm not gonna like hold people to certain expectations if people want to push really hard for week 1 and then take it easier. That's completely fine. I think you can realistically like maintain your character up with the progression that's required with like a couple hours a day after
Yeah,
level 60 week
true.
1. I don't think it's something you have to be like playing 18 hours a day to achieve.
what for a month 2 next? Like a month 2
Right,
next, you're gonna
yeah,
have to be
but like
pumping, like.
not really though,
40
because you could
people
just do yeah, exactly. Like 10 people will be doing that, sure, but like that's the carry. That's always how guilds work. There's always like people who are putting in more work than others, and if people
Yeah.
can't hit that number, that's completely fine.
I think this group is gonna be
I just
not. That won't be an issue.
I just
I
wish
think
they
there's
would
gonna be a
do
lot.
like I just wish they would do like you can only step into BWL after you've cleared MC and then like henceforward. So it would force the progression. Even if
Yeah.
all dungeon all raids are enabled from the get-go.
Like imagine just farming like AQ rep week 2 and just like, you know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be so weird how that's gonna work.
But it's
You
I
can
mean
just-
it's a fun game of risk reward, right? Because it's
It
like,
is, yeah, that's
like
true.
that if you
I'll-
get fucked, I mean prejudices are in, so I guess the risk isn't really all there. But like, I don't know.
Are we still gonna have to do Scarab farm as well?
I
that
bet you.
sounds like-
No, if the gate Nax is out, so the
Nah.
gate's open.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it?
If Nax
That's
is
what-
out, then the
that's-
gate has to be open, right?
Oh,
I don't know if
don't
that's a
think so.
distinction. I'm pretty sure there were servers back in the day that had no AQ gates, but they had Nax.
But why
Well,
did
that's
they?
correct. No,
why
that is
did they
correct.
release everything?
No, on the post it's already saying to access to Anchorage is already enabled. It's already
Oh, so
open.
no Scarab alert. That's fine.
No,
That's
no,
a good thing. Let me
Would've
tell you.
Been kind of funny.
Amp, you
It's
did it.
not,
It's
it's-
awful.
But
I don't know. I think it's,
Yeah.
it's kind of a
I
bad
get
thing.
that was an interesting.
Getting rid of
fact, yeah.
it's getting rid of content though. It's like that's
Yeah.
a shit thing. And imagine having to like gather all the materials for
Well,
the
you
war
can still
on
do
a
the
hardcore
content.
No, but
I
imagine
don't think
having
it's
to
getting rid of it.
do like the war materials on a hardcore server.
That would,
I
I
yeah,
think it
that
would be
yeah.
cool if, for instance, BWL could only open for the server if one person on the server had killed Ragnaros, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And
Oh, Kexek, did you
That-
see that? What
would
Reizuku
be
just
cool.
posted?
No.
That's your tombstone.
I still can't get over that comment about the patches that they will be scarce.
Yeah,
Like
the
it's
scarcity.
it's so dumb. Like
Do you-
These people that are in charge, like
Is
they
it-
have zero clue.
They've never been
Is
to a hardcore guild, that's for sure.
Is it old Black Lotus or new Black Lotus spawns too? It's probably the new ones, right? Because the classic era ones got
We don't
swapped
know.
to new ones, right?
We're not
don't
sure,
actually
but
know.
but like
You're probably
even if
gonna
it's
get the
old Black
Petri in the
Lotus,
mail when you ding 60.
even if it is old Black Lotus, like you have enough to get Petries on people. You don't need to make like a million Petries. It's like one person gets one Petri and they're good forever until they
It'll
use it.
be
Get another one.
P6.
But
it'll
still,
be
it's gonna
P6
be
later.
the most expensive item, most expensive material to buy. There's gonna be a lot of bots farming Black Lotus. Like
No, there's not.
24/7.
It's very hard.
That is both
to have,
delusional, dude.
like, yeah, bots are gonna die. 100%. What you're
Farming
gonna
Black
have
Lotus?
is
Yes.
No, mate, you
There's gonna
just-
be fishing bots though. Those are gonna make the big bucks.
Do you think? Fishing bots are so easy to make. Like they level 5.
Deals are gonna
and
be
you can get,
really
like,
really inexpensive.
Oily blackmail people use Fab so often.
I mean,
It's
Stone
really-
Scale Eel is still like so profitable.
But I will say, like on a fresh server, Lotus is not scarce.
we'll have so many
It's not,
Lotus
yeah.
because
That's
of how
the thing.
fast or level.
So like the people who are at 60 are gonna have access to any amount of Petries they want. I think that's just like a.
you
It's
make
just
so much money just fucking
yeah.
Lotus Mafia at the
It's-
start.
And it's such a small change. Like they could have just like make it the same way that they're doing with the Bubble Heart. Like if you're under the effect of the petrification flask, you're not allowed to be teleported out of the dungeon.
So if I get this right,
The timer only counts whenever you leave that you lose the buff.
I'm gonna say that like you need to have that timer in because otherwise people can grief your lockout.
I know, no, yeah, for
But-
sure. But
Yeah. But if you extend that timer to 2 minutes and put like a 2-minute cooldown on Petri and 30-second duration, something like that, then I think it's fair game.
yeah, even like a 10-second, if you fucked it up and you're on the petrification flask buff, the mobs are attacking you like 5 seconds out of that thing without you being able to reapply it, you're already dead.
So then you have 2 Petries and you're safe.
You got.
Like,
It's so easy. Like you guys are trying to make it sound like Petri is like not a problem. I don't know. It's
a massive
it's a
problem.
fucking
Yeah,
issue.
no, it is very.
It is a problem, yeah.
It's cringe as fuck. Have you seen those like MCs
Yeah,
where
of
like
course.
the fucking hardcore elite like ass pulled 9 mobs because they're actually fucking brain dead and they would have wiped, but they just Petri out. It just doesn't make sense.
And
Yeah, but you do have to realize, like,
maybe
for
they
a
should
guild
make
like
it so that you can't
HC
log out while in Petri.
well, like for a guild like HC Elite to be able to do that, that's months of work for them.
No,
So
it's not.
It's not. It's
do you-
not.
what do you-
Dude,
mean?
it's 40
That can
Lotus,
just
man.
swipe
You can
the
get that
card?
in. No, 40 Lotus straight up. Okay, if you look at it objectively, that's if it's assuming old Lotus, it's a 1-hour timer approximately.
Yeah, it's 4
right?
Lotus an hour.
So
It's
so
15 minutes each.
this server
swiping
gets
and buying one.
no, okay. I'm going with old values. The most scarce Lotus could ever possibly be is 4 Lotus per hour into the economy. There is going to be so much Lotus in the economy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it costs 50 gold, 70 gold. You can make that in a couple hours grinding like gray mobs.
Yeah.
It's not any. It has no cost.
Yeah.
For a second life.
I mean, a couple hours versus losing, 10 days of playtime seems a pretty low cost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
not even a
it-
couple
it's
hours.
like
But
it's,
that-
it's an unnecessary cushion for hardcore.
But that's not what you lose when you do Petri like that. In a way, you lose the respect of people watching.
Well,
Because there is no respect to be had if you.
Should we just say no
that.
Petries in our guild? Like we're literally
Yeah.
not even
No,
using
no.
Petries.
We're going with the meta. It doesn't matter. Whatever the meta is what this guild is going to do because we're trying to
counts.
beat everyone else who's doing the meta, right? It's not like about a superiority or anything.
I think you just be vocally against Petri from now until launch, and hope.
Yeah, I
hope
just
it
think
gets
it's-
changed, and then
They did mention they're gonna be monitoring the Petri flask and take actions if needed, so
Yeah, but Blizzard
I
aren't
just think
doing
the
anything.
reasoning
Like
they used was out of touch with game value. Like, if you could spend a couple hours for a second life, get out of jail free card, everyone is going to do it, and it doesn't matter the cost. If it's 150 gold for Petri, sure, 150 gold is a while. You can farm that off of fucking bats and EPL in 5 hours. no matter who you are, what class you are, your gear, anything, you're just a level 60. You spend 5 hours and you have a second life. Like, come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's like really expensive too. It's not going to be that bad.
But
Or at the very least, they should have some way that the dungeon like reset or like kick out timer just don't tick if you have the buff.
Yeah.
So one thing I wonder though, let's
And
say
do what,
Vodka and Amp gets they get to 60, right? And then the nearest two, let's say in theory, like the nearest people they have to play with are like level 55 or something. Do they have to wait until they are 58 or something until they can even play?
Until they're
No,
60.
60. You
What?
can't group for
I mean,
anything.
that makes
They're
some
gonna,
sense.
they're gonna be farming Black Lotuses.
Yeah, so like
so in
I hope they
theory,
change that.
okay, so don't get me wrong here, but in theory, wouldn't it be better if the whole group, or if the whole guild level in groups,
Yeah.
just to make it so that most people actually make it to 60. I mean,
I think
I get that some people want a solo race, you know, for like the first to 60, whatever, but like if you're thinking guild goals, then it's all about having people to play with at 60 and people are actually alive at 60.
I think there's definitely a distinction. I don't think it's worth to level in groups.
Still's terrible, Yaz.
Up to a certain point, but like after 50, group grinding, sure, probably isn't even that bad. Or like a group questing and like WPL or Ungoro, like definitely seems fine.
Do
And
we
that
get
group
rep?
can do dungeons together to get their lockout.
Yeah, we can do the
But-
24-hour lookouts. Like go around the worlds.
You know, it's actually interesting because maybe there's some merit to like rushing like level 50. Do like an early Mara. Nah.
Well, no,
It's not
we're
worth
just gonna. Well, no, it just depends on
24
lockout
hours
day.
is too long. It's
No,
just
but-
it's just too long to do anything with it twice.
But if you're like 21 hours into a lockout and you're like, you know, a few levels under for a instance, but in week 1 you're just gonna have to do the instance a little bit
Wait.
under so that you get the lockout for the next day.
Do you
And
think
then you get the
lockouts
loot.
are based on
I was just gonna say
server reset?
I bet
or do you think
it's
it's
the
a
morning, like it is with dailies.
because
24 hours right now on
That's what I was
Era
saying.
with a 30
all
lockout.
dungeons have at least a 24-hour lockout timer.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. This says at least.
All right, guys, I'm gonna turn the stream off. That was fun. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for hanging. Okay, bye.
I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.